back, everyone, to the winter circuit of DBDLeague. We are here with the first round, but already in the lower bracket. So the pressure is rising a little bit. Whoever is going to take the loss today will have to leave the event and has maybe a chance in season 9 that is coming up later this year. But for the winter circuit, it would be over. Exciting games ahead for this beautiful Saturday. And even more exciting is the caster that joins us today. First time in DBDL, very known, very loved. Ray, welcome in.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rayoxium. What's up?
Yeah, I decided to go with Ray here. I extra asked before, now she says Rayoxium. So we are going here with Rayoxium. So nice to have you here. Are you excited for today?
Yes. So I'm very excited to be here, and I'm also very excited to see these matches that we have already lined up.
Yeah, we have such an interesting game here with Infinity and Tremor. Both of these teams played a good game last week. They look kind of confident on what they were delivering on the table. And we have a very exciting set ahead of us. Cenobite, Nurse, and Ghost Face, starting off with the Cenobite here. Ray, you're a comp player yourself for Team Instant Dodge, if I'm informed correctly. Now, what is your take on Cenobite? How is this killer in competitive DBD?
So I really like Cenobite in Comp Deadbydaylight. I don't know if other people will agree. His chase power can be really anti-loop, so it's a little bit more difficult to play against. But as we know, the Cenobite does have that extra added objective, the box, which makes it a little bit more difficult for survivors to stay super organized and on top of that. But that's what I really love in Comp Deadbydaylight matches is the macro that survivors have to play against.
And it's so great on the Cenobite, right? Because I feel like it's one of these killers that on the first look, it's like, he's an M1 killer. He's kind of weak. Ratchet Shop is a huge map. But what we have seen last week is that some good moves, like a very great chain in a chase, ending it a little bit quicker than expected, or finding the box before the survivors can in the early game. Something like this can turn this very not so meaningful M1 killer from the first view into a very powerful killer the survivors have to tackle. And then it's kind of into a dynamic, kind of going downhill. So I would say here,
Mhm.
disagree with me if you think otherwise, but I feel like the early game and like the first two chases are really going to set the tone how this best of three is going to work today.
Cenobite, he's very good at tunneling as well. He can use his
Mhm.
chain to snare up that survivor that is trying to get away. So it is very important that those first chases last just a little bit longer.
And going from this Cenobite into the second set, now we talked about it, lower bracket games, so you really want to take the first set point. The pressure is high, but when that didn't work, then you have to do it onto the nurse. You have to pull it back. Now, the nurse, one of the killers that is very well discussed in competitive DBD, especially in terms of what map she's supposed to be on. We remember there was this very long coal tower phase she had. And when she went on the coal tower, everyone said, are you guys okay? How can you put this strong killer onto the coal tower? And now she's on Groaning Storehouse again, but not only on Groaning Storehouse, she's on the variation of Groaning Storehouse. What do you think about that?
I love when competitive attorneys use the new maps because they're super interesting and they're just like something new that has just been remade of like the old maps. Uh, the new maps are just a little bit smaller. I feel like they're balanced a little bit more like well
Hmm.
than I would say maybe like the old suffocation pit. You know, they're more well rounded. A lot of the loops don't spawn into each other. They can spawn some dastardly like connecting tiles, but it's Nurse. She doesn't deal with, filler loops or anything. So I'm really excited to see how she will perform on the new variation that we're using.
Yeah, these variations, for me, they are a catastrophe, but I have to admit that I'm also not playing that much DVD anymore. But every time I'm loading into the variation, I'm personally like, hell no. nothing makes sense anymore. Shack is supposed to be on 6. Main building is supposed to be on 12. For everyone who's like, what numbers is he throwing? So our comp players are basically using a clock call out system. The main building is the 12, and then you're counting like on a clock the numbers 1, 2, 3, and so on. And on these variations, it's all a little bit chaotic when you load into the first time. And I do believe that these variations haven't found their way into the standard of DBD comp yet. So, do you think that's an extra challenge that is on the survivor side here?
Yeah, I actually really do believe so. Not only just because the claw callouts are just a little bit different than, the normal ones that we have. I think that um it's just not as easy to perform well on a map that we don't have all this experience on. And I think that's also just amazing part of it is that these teams who are really experienced still have to learn stuff that's newer. I
Hmm.
have been seeing Groaning Storehouse in some comp matches recently. I know in Hens tourney, he had Singularity on the new Groaning Storehouse. We have been seeing
Mm.
it just a little bit more.
That's interesting because then the Cenobite, especially because then, especially the teams, since they were in that tournament, they have experience on the Cenobite. They have experience on the Groaning Stores variation. Now they basically just need to play the nurse on it. But it seems like they have prepared well here, especially since we know Infinity and Tremor, also two teams, when we look onto their rosters, like they're very dedicated players. So whenever they are playing, you can be ensured, like Sock My Socks, Ronnie, Kenshi, Zafis on the side of Tremor, Serial, French Looper, they're just very known in the competitive scene. So whenever they are popping up, you really know that they have been well prepared and that they have put up a special strategy for us. So we are very hyped to see that today. Let's talk about the tiebreaker real quick. And I know you said it before. We talked a little bit before the scam budget. You would laugh if we are going into the third set here onto the Ghost Face. Can you tell us why?
Yes, I love Ghostface sets. They are peak competitive Dead by Daylight because Ghostface is a lower tier killer. He's stealth and he's M1, meaning that he has the most balanced restrictions against him. You can't have
Hmm.
reset perks, you can't have a ton of information perks, you can't have a lot of exhaustion perks. So what it boils down to is the skill of both sides. The whoever is the most skillful in a Ghostface set will come out on top. And I love witnessing that. It's just the best.
Yeah, that's a very good point here because, fun fact to all the statistic nerds, Ghostface is the number one tie killer. Not in terms of being the tiebreaker, but he has most equal results. And most of the time, it's a 4K on one remaining generator. Ghostface on Larry's has been very painful for our producers and the staff team late in the evening when we were just like, okay, this is the last trial. And then they went into a tie and they replayed it and they went into the tie again a couple of times. Like, Ghostface was the only killer in the history of DBDL that actually managed to tie 3 times in a row. Um, and it seems to be this combination, right? Larry's, you can come around the corner. Survivors lose sight of the ghost face very quickly. So you really need to stay calm and collected and make sure that your communication, the VC is staying coordinated because Ghostface, one of these killers, if someone can create a chaos in your communication in keeping track of what's happening in the trial, then Ghostface, when played well, is the number one killer who can confuse you, I would say.
Mm-hmm. We love to watch Ghostface sets. If you ever listen on to a voice chat of survivors playing against a Ghostface, you can hear their comms. They're like, "Oh, no eyes, no eyes. We don't know where he is." Or if he actually pops out somewhere, everyone's like, "Oh my God, he's over here. He's chasing me. You guys can go to this spot, this spot, this spot." And then Larry's also tends to have some static spawns. It's not a
Hmm.
complete surprise where all the safe pallets will spawn. So you can communicate a little bit more easier that way. God palette in I don't know the claw callouts so much. I don't play Survivor for my team. I'm mostly the killer player, but maybe like at 6, like safe palette at 6 has been thrown. You can run to over here. This safe pallet's
Hmm.
still here. It's really interesting just to hear those comms from the survivors.
Yeah, I totally feel you. When I was playing comp, I mean, it was 1.5 years ago that I played my last comp match, but I was refusing to go into Larry's because of the clock, and I was like, this is this horrendous map. So I'm really impressed when you can see a very coordinated survivor team, because on Larry's, as you mentioned, it's really, really hard to handle and really, really difficult. So um, that would be our wish. I'm totally with you. Hopefully a 1-1, hopefully going into the tiebreaker here, but we need a winner. Ray, Infinity or Tremor? Who's your favorite today?
I mean, I can't I can't say that because I'll be impartial because one of my teammates is playing for Tremor today. Sock my socks, like he's on ID too. So I you
Mhm.
can't ask me that. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fair. I will. I'm a little bit influenced as well. Infinity are longtime friends, I would say. So
Mhm.
I'll stand with them. So Infinity has to take it. I really liked how they were going against Elysium last weekend. They were losing in the end, but they looked very confident. And I feel like if they are able to pull this dynamic again, if they are able to put their team chemistry up, they have shown us last weekend, and this all focused into their performance, then today they can grow over themselves and make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, we will find out how they're playing. Infinity and Tremor facing each other, starting off with the Cenobite on Rakus. No, not Rakus. Ratch Chop. We will see you after a short break. And everyone on the Ratch Chop with this Cenobite. That is going to be Infinity. Playing Survivors first, Tremor on the Killer. Let's go into an interesting match, and we already have the first chain being applied. French Looper needs to show off here and gets a very delayed M1 into the back here with the sloppy budget. Definitely a great start for Boo here. We do see a little bit of mind gaming patience being shown by the survivor. The Hex Totem Ruin already being broken, trying to apply the chain, but French Looper now sticking up to his name, showing a very good performance here. Firecracker on top. Infinity not going to keep all the resources here. It's important that we have a long run at the beginning. He should be able to make this pallet, doesn't take any risk here as well, immediately dropping it. In the distance, we see a team member rotating in for potential body block, vaulting the pallet, but it should be enough for another round once again here. Overall, I would say great first chain, great first hit, but Infinity really showing off strong in this first chase.
Ooh, and then that down still comes through. Even though the Squadite was able to delay her down so very well against this anti-loop killer Cenobite, she still eventually ends up going down, but the flashlight save comes out of nowhere. Why was she even there?
Wow.
I have no clue, but Dex delaying the first down by even a little bit more.
Yeah, such a great teamwork here by Team Infinity. French Looper dropping the shack like another filler and going into the next pallet as well. Here has a good setup and he will probably try to make the most out of it, but the chains being a little bit too strong here. First gen as a punishment for this flashlight save. Instant pickup. This time there won't be any help or rescue, but Infinity definitely showing what we expected from them. A great performance, looking really strong from the start, and I would say Infinity is very happy here.
They're able to delay that first down even by the teeniest, tiniest margin, especially because that first hook was a Scourge hook pain resonance, meaning that they were able to get that first generator done without too much of an issue.
We are taking the... Sorry, I was cutting you off there. I was a little bit too excited here. Please go.
No, you're completely fine. Sometimes I just be yapping. But yeah, Cenobite's sitting in a really good spot. However, we do have a lot of these generators here concentrated at the top side of the map. So the survivors will have to be trying to get these done and not to get 3 or 4 gen, which is seeming like he's trying to pressure this while also pressuring the hook.
Such a good spot for our killer now, being able to guard that survivor, potentially pushing him into the second stage and having the view onto these generators. They're in reach for the chains here as well, so anyone working on the generators might be chained and then also injured. That's going to be happening for Serial now. Is French Looper going into the second stage? That's the big question here, and they are coming in time.
Ooh.
That is just the last millisecond here, and that is really unfortunate for Boo now, circling from the potential tunnel out into needing 2 downs back-to-back on the French Looper. Second gen has been completed. Pressure really high. What a patience on the pallet here while casually avoiding the chains. Third generator here, Infinity, is shining.
That was some really good plays by this Claudette here, even though the Cenobite is a strong anti-loop killer. She's making it look like it's a piece of cake. But also not going to struggle is huge because he spent so much time just sitting right here at the hook trying to confirm it, but then Ace swooping in at last second to making it so that they don't get another hook state for free.
Yeah, this is the big move here, right? Making sure that they are getting away with their survivors, 3 of them healthy because they are all taking care of each other, moving very, very early. And even these long distance chains that would at least waste a little bit of time are not going to land onto the survivor team. Very, very strong showing here. We are circling a little bit back towards the hook, but you can see how Boo is always circling back to the hook immediately while trying to defend the generators because they realize how huge the time pressure is, trying to apply the chains once again here, not going to land the hit. And now I do think we're going straight for the elimination here because it would be such a good move to cut down Infinity to 3 survivors. The question is, what price will you pay in terms of the generators?
And we do see that the survivors were able to break up that 3-4 gen at topside as well. They were busy making it so that Claudette's death wasn't in vain and they got some value. But here we're already starting to chase Tap at main building, who was working on this. We see Rebecca also on the other side. She's trying to harass this generator, making sure it does get done because they spent so much time just working on it. Oh, and the other generator pops, meaning that that main generator could potentially be the last one that they need to do.
And it's such a painful setup as well. I was about to say the main gen, right next to it another generator, but then look at this huge triangle across the ratchet shop here. One is still located in the shack, so Infinity not even going for a difficult setup, and that's going to be the Adrenaline survivor in chase as well here, gaining a good amount of distance. We might look into a 3-man escape, and all of these survivors are fresh hooks, meaning that we would have 9 stages moving out of the door. Hex Ruin was immediately cleansed at the beginning. We do not have an endgame perk here as well. Pain Rest couldn't really shine as well because we were only going for 1 survivor. Looking onto that perk build with the Sloppy Butcher for the injuries on many survivors, Pain Rest to spread the pressure. I feel like our killer was planning with something very different than how the trial actually went.
A very strong showing from the survivors, showing that they are able to handle the heat of one of their survivors being tunneled out, and they're just all getting out, all 3-man escapes. That is a very strong performance from Infinity against Tremor.
Wow, insane performance from Infinity. This is a win condition to set for yourself for the upcoming trial. It will be 4 hook stages on 2 survivors, alternatively 3 hook stages on 3 on 2 survivors, or just 4 stages. 1 more after an elimination. Very, very great. Infinity putting themselves in a great spot. Tremor has to find an answer against this survivor team. We'll see you after the break.
Everybody, and welcome back to our matchup of Infinity versus Tremor. We have taken a moment, we have set our builds, and we have switched sides. Now we have Infinity on Killer versus the Tremor survivors, and already we have a quick start for the Cenobite. He finds the box on the one side of the map and is able to start a chain hunt.
The most luxury early game for the Cenobite is the chain hunt from the beginning. We do see another Sloppy Butcher, and we do see a No One Escapes death as well, which is very interesting because the killers have to lock in their build for this tournament. So Serial if he would have had a rough win condition now with stopping all the survivors before the last generator pops, would have wasted a perk slot basically. So he seems to be aware how strong Tremor is as a team. He seems to be aware of their skill against the Cenobite, so he was expecting that no one escapes death will be needed. And now, even with this win condition of 4 stages or 3 stages on 2 survivors, it will come in very handy to have the know it in the back pocket here. So far, we do see the survivor doing a good job, dropping the pallet immediately. We even see some Ronnie coming in, taking a hit here, prolonging this chase a little bit, but this is the most important thing for Tremor right now. They need a long chase and a couple of generators.
And it's seeming that Sox is not going to go down without a fight just yet. Doing a really good job of delaying the first down. The survivors coming in for body block hits. It's going to be so punishing though, because we do, as you say, have Sloppy Butcher out. So these resets are going to have to take a long time.
Sloppy Butcher, one of the resources that are shining in competitive DBD recently, and you can really tell how important it is to keep survivors injured and potentially going for a snowball, and that's going to work. Vaulting into the shack out of nowhere and saying, boo, here I am. Immediately going to grab the survivor. That's going to be a basement hook. So we went from kind of a confident chase that gave us a lot of hope for Tremor into a basement hook out of nowhere. They do get a generator done. We might see, or I would say, hopefully, we'll see a second generator here, but it's definitely not such a luxury start anymore.
Still a little bit of an unfortunate traffic jam happening over here at Shack Pallet. It is a safe pallet, but only for one survivor. So eventually one of them did have to go down. And we do see the resets happening onto the other survivor who took a body block hit earlier. So we are back to having 2 healthy survivors, 1 injured, and 1 on the basement hook. That's going to be a little bit more difficult to save, especially against the Cenobite, who has the potential to stop a free escape with chains. We do see Sox coming in here to get the save at basement, but he's also injured. So this is probably going to result at least in a 1-for-1. Oh, they're doing a little bit of a locker strat. The Cenobite can't only pick out 1 survivor, and so the other one is getting a guaranteed escape. Yep, and there we go. We see Sox coming out, able to delay the death on that survivor a little bit longer. However, she is just going right up back onto that basement hook.
And that's the difficult thing here, right? You mentioned it. They could 1-for-1 to delay the death a little bit, but then comes the win condition in clutch. We are talking about 3 stages on 2 survivor already meeting the win condition, alternatively 1 kill and 1 more hook stage. So for all this trading and 1-for-1ing is not really time. We do see the locker jump, so that's going to be the 3rd stage, and this 3rd stage will be on a 2nd survivor, so the win condition is already met for Team Infinity. Now, from now on, I would say what Tremor needs is a flawless survivor game that is giving them confidence for the upcoming set, because the Nurse is going to be a challenge. Coming back against Infinity in this best of 3 will be a challenge, so you really want to play a great survivor game now to carry over the momentum.
Unfortunately, whatever happens in the rest of the survivor match, the win does go to Infinity. Very well played by both sides already. Like you said, though, we still want to finish out strong because the next matchup isn't even Tremor's pick. Tremor's pick was this set. So we know that we need to keep up our confidence and morale to be able to beat Infinity, because if we lose this set, that's it. They're out of the winner's bracket, because this is the loser's bracket, I do believe.
Yeah, whoever loses today will have to leave the winter circuit, and that's going to be really, really unfortunate, because we don't want to say goodbye to any teams we have, because they're all amazing and great, but at the end we only have 1 crown to hand out, so some people unfortunately need to say goodbye earlier than others. So Tremor hopefully finding that energy. Kenshi looking quite confident here. Once again, Ronnie coming in, being a little bit of a rescue here, seems to be his role for this best of 3, but unfortunately bonking the head into the shack there. But able to prolong the chase a little bit more here. We do have 2 generators completed. I feel like we'll see another couple of generators going off soon. We are going into the basement here, trying to be a little bit cheeky, but it's not going to work out. 4th hook stage coming in. They are coupling up on the main generator, 25% so far. I would have assumed that there's a little bit more pressure going on.
Mm-hmm. You know, little does this Cenobite know it's actually a mind game to go down in basement, because that means that he isn't able to use any of his Scourge Hook Pain Resonances. We do see that one of the stacks was already used, and our Tunnel Out, who was in basement, actually did get away, and she's all the way over here at main, which is a good looping spot and might buy a little bit more time for her teammates to get more generator progress done, because that's what we need right now. We're at 3 gens left. We need to get the pressure on.
Pressure will be important, and it's allowing a potential snowball dynamic for one of these. That's going to be Boo in chase once again. We really don't want to see it down here, because that would be the early elimination. Ronnie, however, has the deep wound, so unlikely to move in, and Boo is getting mind-gamed around the 4 wall here. That's going to be the quick down and the hook into 5 stages. We will see Tremor cut down onto 3 survivors, and now the pressure on the generators will be even more important. We have a great spread here, not too tight of a setup here. The Cenobite can play around. Serial, however, immediately going for the chains, expecting someone, and we can see this generator here has regressed all the way into 0, so that's going to be a huge chunk of work to be done.
And that Scourge Hook Pain Resonance stack that was used on it, but did not help. She also died in the area with all the active generators, meaning that he was able to take a chase pretty quickly inside of it as well. So it'll spell bad news for the survivors if Sox does go down within these active generators, but it's seeming that he might not have a choice, considering the power of the killer is incredibly anti-loop. Sox very patient on this edge filler here, not going down just yet, but eventually will meet his fate. Will be going down right here. This hook has been used, so we can't hook him perfectly in between all these active generators, but it's definitely going to be close. Going to be a little bit more difficult for these survivors to break them apart. We do see that main does get done, though. That'll be great for them, reducing the amount of generators that are over here on this side. However, the gens, ooh, we got a lot of progress here in Shack as well. See if the survivors can get this done. We'll need to keep up the pressure and maybe go for a cheeky unhook while he's over here picking this. Except we do have to get the box done. Another extra added thing just piled on top of this game that is already taking quite a toll on these survivors. And we see the other survivor just chilling over there. We know where everybody is. We've got one on the hook, we've got one doing the box, and we've got one at the spawn lane over here. The killer in a fantastic spot. Very commanding presence in this game.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? I was just thinking, if Tremor can do anything, then they need something crazy, something unexpected, either a long chase, sneaking in for an unhook when the killer doesn't expect it, secretly having a pressure generator, something wild like this. And then, just as you say, now there's the information. Sock My Socks very likely not going to be taken off this hook, as both of them are injured. They have not used the time to go for a full reset. They only have this generator on a quarter here. So it's really not looking the best way for them. The pressure is just too high. You also talked about how the Cenobite is adding extra things, especially also with that sloppy butcher and constant injuries. It seems like they were trying to go for a reset here now, because Ronnie was rotating over, but while trying to find each other, Kenshi has been located by our killer here, who is going to swing a little bit optimistic. Patience game coming out. The slow vault not going to work, but a very nice idea there by Kenshi. Ronnie still running. Might be nice if Ronnie could escape the trial here. It wouldn't matter anymore for the win condition, but for the mentality and for the motivation going into the next trial, it might be great to at least get an out here.
And we can see that the Nancy did sneak on in there into Shack. Maybe she's just trying to get another generator done. We're not getting 4K'd at 2. We're going to get 4K'd at 1 at least. We still want to put up a great fight. And it looks like she's going to be able to do it. She has a little bit of resi. Oh, unfortunate that Ace did get Scourge Hook Pain of Resonance, popping that generator, making it reduce its progress quite a bit. And also Nancy, not prepared for it, screams, revealing her location.
Poor Ronnie being left alone in the trial and not even able to get the war. I was thinking for a second that this is Sniper Get Down. The Cenobite has a new talent here. That was a very, very impressive attempt, at least, by Serial. We do know where the hatch is going to spawn as we are forcing it with an offering, but it seems like Serial doesn't really worry about that. We can just go into the final. Basically 1v1 between Ronnie and Serial here. Let's see how much time our survivor can put up. The chain's definitely going to come into effect. And
yeah, that was impaling wire chains. Always making it a little bit more difficult to get away from him, even if you were able to break them out. But unfortunately, that is the end of the chase. There's no deli, there's no nothing. So that is the end of the game.
Poor Ronnie. That's what I'm taking on this game. Very, very poor Ronnie. Trying everything, was really showing off. And we saw this team chemistry, right? I'm highlighting Ronnie here, but it was the entire team. We saw how they were trying. We saw how they were fighting. We saw how they were throwing resources in, trying to make the chases as long as possible, even though they were in a difficult spot from the beginning here. So Tremor definitely has the potential. Tremor definitely has what it takes. The only difficult thing is that they are staying on the survivor side against the Nurse now, right after taking that 4K against the Cenobite. So we will have to see if they are able to recover from that. Infinity takes the first set point in this best of 3. We will see you with the Nurse on Groaning Storehouse 2 after a short break. And this is the Groaning Storehouse variation, the wild experiment and innovation by the dev team. We do have a little bit of a different shack position. Main building has rotated a little bit. The tiles spawn a little bit differently. So the competitive players have a little bit of a challenge here, trying to find the first survivor. And what a game sense here by Cyril, immediately spotting Zafis, taking him into the first chase. But our survivor is breaking line of sight quite well here, has been spotted only 2 times around these corners. Cyril decides that this second blink would be a little bit too risky, so we are actually wasting a little bit of time for the killer here. Zaf is doing a good job taking the injury now, but playing around this jungle gym, going into the corner as well, trying to take as much time as possible. A little bit of edge game, mind gaming, corrupt intervention expires, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see the first gen.
Unfortunately for this survivor, Nurse is a very strong killer, but we do see that they are going to go choose and die in the comp corner, meaning that we are going to choose our death spot so very well. And we did see that that generator was highlighted in yellow. Oh my god, it's being greedy! Trying to get a really good hook spot, but just barely not making it. However, the chase doesn't last very long, so we're gonna get it anyway.
That was a moment of panic, I feel like, on the side of Cyril and Infinity, because this is something we really don't want to see. That is at least 10 to 15 seconds that were lost here, and 10 to 15 seconds equals 1/4 of a generator when you're co-oping, and that's exactly what the Survivor team has done here. Pop Goes the Weasel is coming in clutch, though, regressing the generator by a good chunk, and 1 survivor has been located over here on the TNL. That's going to be a quick one onto Ronnie. Zafis, in the meanwhile, has already been rescued, so we do not go for a tunnel out strategy. Serial instead going to apply injuries on multiple survivors here, which is an interesting strategy, because usually, you mentioned it, Nurse, one of the strongest killer, usually you try to tunnel a survivor out as quick as possible.
Ooh, and we might be seeing a little bit of lucky break on Socks here, able to slip away, making a really good time sink for the survivors, because the Nurse has to take a couple seconds to try to find out where they went. And we can see a couple survivors over here who are also just stealthing, being injured. They're going to take the time to probably reset. Like you said as well, Nurse is a very strong killer, so chasing against her, usually you just kind of accept that you are going to die eventually, and die in a really, really good spot is what you exactly want to see. Yep, you see Socks, he's just hiding in a corner. The nurse isn't convinced. She says, yep, I'm pretty sure this guy is still over there. And we do see a fastball coming onto that Z-wall over there. So we do see somebody that is spotted and trying to get away still. It's possibly Socks because we're not seeing any scratch marks. So Lucky Break is still in effect, making it so the nurse doesn't have eyes on him exactly. Ooh, we do find Nia, and she goes down, tries to drop the pallet, but no dice.
I feel like that looked disgusting on Ronnie's screen for some reason. I don't know if our little friend is molding there right now, but that looked a little bit difficult for him. But that's due to America. It's going to come in clutch a little bit at least. We do see the second hook stage here. I'm surprised that Tremor hasn't popped the second generator yet, because I was about to say we have seen their efficiency. We have seen that they are immediately hopping onto the generators to get them done here. So really good work getting the second generator completed. Serial once again not aiming for a tunnel, camp, or elimination. Instead trying to spread the pressure. Pop goes to Weasel coming out once again, but the survivor has left very early and taken some distance. Seems like he's opting to go back, trying to catch the survivor that was just unhooked, but Ronnie also healed in time, so we kind of know that they are not too far away from the original hook. But Serial is having a little bit of cooldown between these chases, and especially when you're playing the nurse, you really want to have the survivors in chase back to back here. So hopefully Tremor can use these downtimes to establish a lot of pressure.
A very valid and common strategy we do see in comp games is tunneling out one survivor, making it a 3v1, a very nice blink by the way, because it is so much easier to deal with just 3 survivors than 4. But this nurse is spreading the pressure, although we do see that Nia over here has been hooked once, and it is a prime target for a tunnel out just after this. This nurse, she's not even gonna blink after she knows that Nia went to a corner and is dead. She's going to take this victory, although the survivors are punishing this nurse not getting that tunnel out early with this generator pressure that they're able to put out. And we could see that Gen's doubled and possibly getting done before nurse could even get over there to use Pop as a Weasel on it.
That would be incredible if they are getting that done in time here. Discordance indicating that they're there together. And as you mentioned, it's not even a close call. They made it with such a confidence. And this is the thing, right? Everything comes with a downside. If you go for the tunnel out and the survivors counter it, you're standing there with 3 hook stages and you don't really have a great win condition for yourself. So it is nicer to spread the hook stages across the team and get as many injured, as many down, as many fresh hooks as possible, especially since it's the 3rd win condition to have many fresh hooks here. But if that doesn't work and the survivors are too quickly, then you would wish that you tunneled out one survivor and went a little bit with the safer strategy here. With this, we mentioned it, the downtime between the chases quite long, and I feel like we can see the change of strategy here. Serial going immediately back towards the hook now trying to go for the tunnel out on one survivor, and I feel like now it's a little bit too late because they are co-oping the final gen.
We can see that we have discordance. Sounds are a little bit bugged, so we're not hearing the notification go off. I don't know why, it's just a nurse thing. But we do see that these survivors are able to chunk out this generator right here. And we do have a DS dead hard coming out on Nia, able to delay that chase as well. That's doing a fantastic job.
That was a really, really great run. That's going to be the kill onto Ronnie. But we have our final generator, and perhaps we have a lot of survivors moving out of the door. They are already on the exit gate there. I don't want to be too optimistic, but I would say that is going to be enough time for them. And that would be 4 stages against the nurse. And if there is any form of comeback, then honestly, Tremor has shown the comeback from the first set to the second. Housekeeping of DBDLeague. Infinity brought a banned medkit add-on and had to take it off. They cannot replace it in this tournament, so they will play with 1 add-on on the medkit. The nurse no longer has the build locked. Ronnie could go for an adjustment here. minus half of a hook stage coming in clutch as well for Team Infinity, pushing it to 3.5 stages that were awarded or rewarded by Serial. So 4 stages would already meet the win condition on 2 survivors here. Ray, I don't know what you think, but I think that is a dream for a nurse.
That is a. We already had a little bit of a tough result to try to play against Infinity, having to make sure that they didn't get more than just 4 hook stages. But now with the penalty, that is going to make it so this nurse has their work cut out for them. And we're also seeing a little bit of a better chase than that would have potentially been last game. A little bit of an earlier down and a really good hook spot next to this generator that was being worked on. And this nurse is going to take the time to just look around, getting some free tags. That's going to be super punishing because our add-on on the left, Fragile Wheeze, makes it so survivors are sloppy butchered whenever a blink hit happens. And we have an early save as well, meaning that we are going to be able to tunnel out this ace just that much quicker. Doesn't even matter if he has decisive strike. We can just chomp right through it and get back into the game, get a chase, get a tunnel out. That is exactly what this nurse player needs.
Yeah, I think Ronnie is actually quite fine with this instant unhook because now, as you mentioned, he is able to just chase this survivor down. Edge map Anderson, not able to delay it for long. That's NPY going down onto the floor here. No generator yet. Second hook stage going to come in now. We do see discordance indicating that the nearby generator is under cooperation, and that is not the best news for Infinity either because the survivors will have to rotate away since the hook stage happened here. That's also going to be a pop goes to weasel kick in the back pocket. 1 generator is being completed here. 2 more stages would be enough to push us into the tiebreaker set with the Ghost Face here. So Tremor right now really taking that task, playing out of their mind, playing with a lot of pressure against Infinity here. And we do see Ronnie not going to take any risk, rotating back towards the hook to ensure that the survivor is eliminated. And I think that is the perfect choice in this moment.
We didn't see a decisive strike coming from Ace. Whether he missed it or he saved it, he is that much closer to death. The survivors are probably going to try to get this save. They don't have enough gen pressure not to, but we'll have to see if they're able to even pull it off. Nurse is a very strong killer. We do see them working away on a couple generators. These 2 survivors possibly seeing the 3rd one hovering for the save. Nope, they've just opted to let that survivor die on hook and instead trade it for some generator progress. However, this nurse is sitting in a very good spot because not only is it a 3v1, she's already getting dangerously close to the win condition. So that is very exciting because that means that we could possibly see a win from Tremor in this set and make it to the next tiebreaker.
And we all know that you are looking forward to the Ghost Face on Larius. I do as well, to be honest. And we are with that sacrifice of the survivor. Even the 2nd generator is just really looking nice for Infinity here, because what they would need right now is 3 completed generators and then all the 9 stages out of the door here. Not a single down and hook is allowed to happen now. Ronnie making extra sure that he's not overlooking a survivor, but Claudette has already rotated around and found some distance here. Great first blink by Ronnie and still taking it safe here, not going to go into the second blink too early. He will instead be locker juked by French Looper. That was a very nice move here, making this chase a little bit longer. And I really like to see this here because we can see Infinity in a very difficult spot right now. A lot of teams would say, well, this nurse set is basically gone, but they are trying to take the best possible momentum out of this nurse set here going into the Ghost Face set. And we need to keep in mind Infinity will stay on the survivor side. They will play survivor first on the Ghost Face, so you better have a good match right here to go with a lot of confidence into Larry's.
And with this hook stage, that basically confirms it, that Tremor will be taking this set. So very unfortunate that the teams are losing their picks, but it's just showing that these teams are not to be messed with.
Nox is going to be the next one, our police officer, hopefully not ending in a 2-tap, but that's indeed what's happening right here. Unbreakable not going to help here as well. That's going to be a quick hook for Ronnie once again. We do see the survivors in the distance resetting under the hook, giving their location away. That is another jackpot for Ronnie here, being aware where to go for the next chase. And now he can kind of play it through here. We do have another pop goes to Weasel Kick. One generator remaining for our survivor team, but that's going to be just a question how quick they can finish that. Great hit here onto Zero. Nox being rescued in the background. Good timing there. If they team up on the generator in the midsection, this is a long... Yeah, okay, never mind.
A little bit of a unfortunate blink right there. Lucky break trying to slip away. Unfortunately, there was only one good line of sight breaker that was available to the Ada. And you know what? Ronnie just sniffed it right out. He said, I don't believe you. I think you're right there. And he was right. We can see that some resetting is happening. We did see a couple crows fly off in the distance there. So the nurse is definitely going to go check. Yep, and rewarded with injured tap as well. We haven't seen any decisive strike just yet, so we're not entirely sure at what survivor it's actually on. It could potentially be this one. Is it?
Unfortunately not. That would be great here, because I feel like this decisive strike right here would have been in the most perfect timing. Second wind, however, is coming out onto our Ada here. Cyril is going to be back to full healthy. Nox in the second stage, 60 seconds until Infinity is losing the second survivor, and will have a great reduction on their generator efficiency. French Looper going for a little bit of stealthing, but the nurse was on the left side, but still didn't catch the survivor in the corner here. What a got an important move, and then the nurse just decides to rotate over regardless here. I'm not sure what he got it. Yeah, okay, this is now going to be the injury. Going back into the shack here. We do have a dead heart available, so that is going to be a little bit of a longer chase here. Cyril and Nox potentially teaming up on the generator there will be a difficult decision for Ronnie if he's going into this chase here, or if he's rather rotating back towards the objective. Great mind game by French Looper, faking that he would go back into the midsection here, and instead just making sure that the nurse is overblinking. We do see the discordance information, so we're sprinting back towards the gen, and I think we will be able to stop this generator. So the survivors have to hang in the trial for a little bit longer.
Not entirely too much progress was awarded for that chase that Claudette gave. However, she does get away, so that was incredibly well done by her. And very nice blinks from Ronnie as well. We're seeing really good back and forth from these survivors. It is a 3v1. The gens aren't too far split, so they are definitely going to have to work. Oh my god, I didn't even know where that Claudette was, but apparently she goes down. Caught out in the area that Ada was looping. A little bit, maybe a miscommunication. However, that will reward us with a hook and another proc of Pop Goes a Weasel that this nurse is going to try to apply to this generator. The only one that has any progress, but it's not done in time. We are able to pop it, making it so it isn't a 4K1. These survivors are not going to give up until the game is over. We can see with Rancor was revealing the location of the survivors. We don't have an obsession in the end game, unfortunately, unless we get a decisive strikeout. But, you know, we can't get decisive strike anyway because it doesn't activate when all generators are done. So we're not going to see the Mori, unfortunately. But these survivors are doing a good job of not just rolling over and dying. We see that Tab comes over here to try to get the save onto Claudette, who's going to run to a corner, maybe heal up with her mid kit, while the nurse is looking around for... Oh no, he wants to go for Ada, possibly again, or whoever was the unhooker. Nope, it seems we're just gonna take our prize, which is Claudette, who is dying in the corner away from the exit gate, so their teammates do have a chance to possibly get out through the exit gate, at least a 2-man out. Still a very good result to get against a nurse. Even though they had that early death, they showed that they can play the 3v1 very efficiently.
Yeah, that is still a great result here, because I feel like for a long time in this trial, it didn't look like they would go for the escape here. So Infinity definitely making a strong recovery there on the survivor side, and we talked about it. They will stay on the Survivor side, in the tiebreaker, we will see the Ghost Face on Larry's. And when you're playing Survivor on such a difficult set where everything can happen, where you need coordination, where you need a straight and strict dynamic onto the generators and in your team, then it's really important that you load into that trial with motivation and with a good mindset. And with having this little bit of a recovery here, even though they lose the set point, I feel like they are they're well prepared for the tiebreaker. Ladies and gentlemen, we will load into Larry's Memorial Institute with none other than Danny Johnson, and we will be back for you straight after a short break.
Everybody, and welcome back to the tiebreaker set of Infinity versus Tremor. We can already see that we have Boo on the killer, killing for Tremor. We can already see a couple of perks in the bottom right corner, mainly the top one, which is Hex Face the Darkness, which is a incredibly good perk for finding survivors, especially on indoor maps. What happens is you hit a survivor, but you don't down them, and as long as that survivor stays injured, all the other survivors in the trial will periodically scream, revealing their location. So we've got a bit of an aggressive build. Killers have to submit their builds before the game starts, so we can't have endgame perks unless they plan for it before the other match is even played. We can already see that we have some early chase onto this tap here, who's doing a fantastic job of not giving a tag for free. We can see that we're going to loop around here, but we're going to decide that we don't want to chase this guy, especially because he is chasing in our corrupted gens. So we're instead going to go inside the map and pressure it, going stealth so the survivors don't exactly know our location. They have a little bit of an idea, but most likely they're going to try and play safe, not giving any free tags, because we also do have Sloppy Butcher, a staple in Stealth Killer's builds, able to apply pressure and try to be confusing to catch out survivors.
Yeah, I really hope we will see some sort of a jump scare here, or at least catching a survivor by surprise. And it seems like this already worked on NPY. Almost 75% of stalk progress now being onto the survivor. And just before we go to the full 100, he's able to break out the Ghost Face. But I feel like Boo is pretty fine with that. You have this survivor on 90% later on. You can catch them behind the corner. Very optimistic swing and a hit onto French Looper here. So we have an injury with Sloppy Butcher and a 90% stalked survivor. So I think our killer is very happy with that. If you would now be able to mind game around this pallet, which is really, really a difficult task because this is a very long loop, and I think Boo realizes that as well, is going to take a little bit of a blind here, does find the ace again. 90% stalk progress. Will he find a perfect moment to strike here? We still have a lot of pallets being available. Switching back towards Claudette now, trying to catch her as well, and that's actually going to be the down potential for a pallet save. Though we go for the immediate pick, and no one is coming for the rescue here. So quite early down and hook stage for our Ghost Face. No generator just yet. So I hope that Infinity has prepared something.
We do see that Scorch Hook Pain Resonance wasn't applied to the generator right next to the hook, so we know that there is a generator out there with a bunch more progress, and we can see when we rotate the camera, the tap has a generator that is getting dangerously close to being completed. However, the Ghost Face is here to stop it in time. We don't have any gen kick perks such as Eruption or Popsicles and Weasel, so that's just going to be a dry kick. A little bit of a slower regression, but regression nonetheless. He's trying to be a little bit unpredictable. The survivor comms, I'm sure right now, are just saying, hey, Ghost Face spotted close to me, Ghost Face over here, you can try to go for the pull. However, they don't have perfect eyes on him, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to discern his location, especially because he's stealth now. Doesn't have any other slowdown perks besides Pain Resonance and Sloppy Butcher, so the survivors are just letting that Claudette cook on the hook just a little bit longer while trying to get some generator progress. I'm sure we're just trying to break up any potential 3 gens that happen because we haven't had a single generator pop just yet. Oh, and we are in a room where it's a little bit difficult to get past, and the survivor goes to struggle on hook, and Tap takes an M1 as well, a Sloppy Butcher tag. That's going to be really huge for the Ghost Face. We already have a potential tunnel out target happening at 5 generators.
Now going back towards French Looper here, second hook stage already. No generator has been completed yet. Never mind, that's a positive caster curse right here. First objective being out of the way, and we do see that this generator here has quite some progress as well. Sloppy Butcher and the information Perfect Sedang is now coming in clutch here, going to force the Survivor team into longer reset times, making sure that the Survivor team is busy. And against the Ghost Face, you really don't want to play too risky onto the generators, as the killer can just pop out of nowhere. That's going to be an injury, and therefore will end into a 1-for-1 here. I do think Infinity is fine for that, but the killer isn't, because this is the Survivor you want to have out of the game. French Looper with 2 hook stages so far would be an absolute gift if this Survivor would be eliminated from the trial here. Third generator coming out, and this is professional Ghost Face gameplay, going into the power, confusing the Survivor, rotating around, and then striking out of nowhere. That was really, really well done. We do see the elimination. On the other hand, at least Cyril has been picked up, making sure that we are going to have 3 survivors back into the trial here. Now Nox and Cyril are injured, so we should see some kind of reset here against Sloppy Butcher. That is difficult. The 3rd survivor is also going to reach the injured state now, so Boo in a good spot here. He can now chase the ace, which forces the other 2 survivors into a harsher decision between going for the reset and going for the generators. Ace, however, rotated towards the Hex Totem, so we might say goodbye to that anytime soon. Going back towards the generators, using the hallway, however, so trying to see if any survivors leaving. We do see the reset here. Scratch marks have been found. That is going to be Nox, has the God Pallet available. This one is going to be quickly destroyed. I feel like Boo in a difficult spot here. Do you want to chase the survivor? Might potentially take too long, or keep an eye onto these generators. So far, I feel like Boo is finding a good balance between managing both tasks.
And we did see that our Hex Face the Darkness did get cleansed, so that perk is no more. It did give us actually very valuable information of the location of where Ada was when she came in for the unhook onto the Claudette. So the Ghost Face was able to get back there and make it a 1-for-1. But now we're in a tough spot for the survivors, because they're going to have to take the time to reset. Ooh, and he gets outplayed here. Boo showing off his skills as a very good Ghost Face player. You'll love to see it in a set like this. Doing very, very good at keeping up the pressure. Resets happen onto the other 2 survivors, so they are no longer injured. But a Spur Chuck Pain Resonance right here means that the generator with the most progress did lose it. And we are back at square one. 2 survivors who are fully healthy, trying to get around, trying to get generator progress, and trying to get the save all at once with 2 generators left. This Ghost Facing in a really good spot, catches out Ada, possibly heading out for the rotation, and will be taking some M1 tags. She is now injured once again with Sloppy Butcher. And will this Ghost Face choose to go back to hook? He does not! He tries to get this survivor instead, and he's gonna choose to slug as well? Try to keep out the pressure? Nope, he just takes the survivor and is instead going to take this hook as well.
A lot task to do here for Infinity, but also for Ghost Face, because 5 stages is still on the edge of everything being possible, though I do think our killer is a little bit in an advantage here, because we do have that 1 elimination already. Ace is going to into the next chase here. Sloppy Butcher coming in clutch once again. Nox has to rotate to catch Cyril off the hook. That is going to happen right here. So Boo is well aware that no survivor is working on the generators right now, and I feel like Infinity doesn't have the time anymore to go for full resets here. The time is running out. The hook stages are constantly coming in. The killer is progressing towards the 12 stages. NPY is kind of caught off guard here. That's going to be hook stage number 6, but Boo doesn't have enough, knows kind of where the survivors are. They are injured as well. Power is half recovered, so why not going on a little bit of a snowball here? And that's already one of the injured survivors being located here, and if that's going to be in a quick down, we might see a very soon ending.
He wants to go for the 4K2, and I don't blame him. 4K2 is a fantastic result to pull out from a Ghost Face set. This Ada doesn't want to let it happen either. Instead of going for the pickup on her teammate, decides to try to get a little bit more of gen progress, because a 4K1 is definitely a good result to actually shoot for. Infinity's sweating a little bit because now they have 2 slugs. The last survivor who is alive is injured, and they don't have eyes on the Ghost Face. So right now she's just running in blind, possibly trying not to run into the Ghost Face, but of course he's stealthy, he's confusing, there's so many walls, we don't know exactly where he's hiding. Oh, he decides to pick up the ace and actually go for the hook. Possible Scourge hook chain resonance. Try to regress the generator that Ada did work on just a little bit more, but he does know for a fact that that survivor was also picked up, and there's no unbreakable allowed in a Ghost Face set. So he knows where the other 2 survivors potentially are, and they don't have enough generator progress to show for how long these exchanges have been.
Yeah, the not having Unbreakable is a huge deal, right? Because the survivors will have to enforce or will have to do all these tasks that are needed to reset the team by themselves, which ultimately cuts a lot of time again from them, especially when being paired with the Slobby Butcher here. However, I feel like they made a good recovery. We almost looked towards the 4K if the final survivor would have been located, and now they have kind of prevented that, being able to go for the generators once more. I feel like one more generator would be very, very needed here, because you really try to play around a 3-gen in best case, and their killer will only be able to do that if they get one more generator towards the win condition here. Our second survivor, NPY, is moving into the second stage here though, so in 60 seconds we will have another eliminated survivor. The God Pallet next to the office is still available. Cyril is throwing it to not take any risk. The rescue is going to come in. Boo, however, is going to stay on Serial here, trying to move around the office, catching him. That did not work, so we... Oh, never mind!
Man.
A little bit of sneaking is sometimes doing all the work for you. Serial not expecting that, looking into the different direction. And once again, Boo is coming out confident and knowing that they are under control on the Larry's Memorial Institute, and he does prove the game sense, is able to locate these survivors here. Unfortunately, it's a short Minecraft session here, crafting 10 stones there from the wall of the Larry's Memorial Institute, and now it takes a little bit too long, because now the survivors have a little bit of a time window again to pick up the slug here, so it might not be over yet, but we do have an overpeaking survivor, so it's such a back and forth here.
We're just going into downs after hook states after hook states. We're dwindling away. We don't have another survivor tunneled out just yet, but we're getting so incredibly close, just ticking away at their hook states. And we're trying to sneak around here, see if we can catch out these survivors. We see a little bit of a blood trail as well. Boo not giving these survivors an inch. He doesn't want to let them get another generator done at all costs. He's playing these 50-50 so incredibly well. Able to get these hits, able to get these health states. We've got one person on the hook, one person slugged on the ground, and we know that there is one survivor left in the trial. Ada, we'll see what she decides to do. Is she going to be able to get over here to get the unhook? It's not seeming so. Nox slowly dying, only has a couple seconds left. Possibly trying to just stealth it out. Maybe she can get either the hatch or the exit gate in the set with Ghost Face. We don't have a static spawn for hatch, so it can spawn anywhere on the map. And even just escaping with maybe 1 or 2 stages still could make the difference if the Ghost Face from Infinity's side does manage to get down to just 2 generators as well. So we're going to see that Ace has not been picked up, and Ada is nowhere to be found. This map can be really good for hiding survivors. A lot of corners, a lot of lockers, a lot of spaces to make it so the Ghost Face has to look in every nook and cranny.
The good news, though, is because every survivor has been hooked previously in the trial, the bleed outs won't matter anymore. The killer has the fresh hook already, and the bleed out awards all the remaining hook stages, so NPY can just enjoy the little bit of traveling here on the ground. The difficulty is, though, that Larry's, as one of a few maps in the game, does not have a fixed hatch spawn that we can influence with an offering like on the other maps. So there will be a little bit of an RNG in the end game here. Our survivor Serial has only one hook stage so far, so that would be at least 2 stages walking out of the door there. It doesn't fully matter because the first win condition we compare is the generators. So as long as the other team would get 4 generators done, it doesn't matter. But in case we have a tie, it's definitely coming in clutch if you have 10 or 12 stages on the killer side here. So Serial might pray to the gods of DBD, might send behavior an email real quick and say, please let the hatch spawn right next to me. It's really important. So let's see how this is going to be played out. NPY is 40 seconds away from the bleed out here. As you mentioned, so many lockers. You would need to be the most lucky killer in the world to grab the survivors out here. Zaka has done it in the past. We remember that. Zaka was actually first guessing on Larry's Memorial Institute, crossed the entire map, picked one locker, and there was the survivor in. You can imagine the amount of DMs we got afterwards for wall hacking. But NPY about to bleed out here. I think the DBD gods have to decide if Serial escapes the trial or not.
And we do know that, ooh, a little bit of a crow action happening on Ada. She got out and made sure that it dissolved so it didn't give away her location too much. If the Ghost Face wasn't too close nearby, we wouldn't be able to see it. He's just gonna take this hook onto Ace right here. I mean, like you said, we've already got our fresh hook, so it doesn't entirely matter. Maybe buying us a couple more seconds to try to search out some more lockers, because Ada is notoriously known for being very quiet, but she was right next to the room that she was in. She has a crow that actually might be close enough for the Ghost Face to be able to find her. Maybe at least one noise notification. But the hatch spawns right on top of her. She prayed to the RNGesus and her prayers were answered. That is going to be huge. Like you said, if it gets down to 4K2, that does mean that hatch escape will make a difference.
Absolutely incredible finisher here. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, first win condition are the generators. So as long as Tremor is fixing 4 generators or in their trial, they will be fine. They will take this home. But in case we have another 3-gen completion and then a 4K, then it will very, very much matter that one killer got 10 and the other killer might clean 4K. So let's see how this is going to come in. Infinity with the last second clutch here. Well done on Larry's. We'll see you right after a short break. I will not be able to hop in with such an exciting intro like Ray did because she's so in love with the Ghost Face, but I'm trying. Here we are for the final trial, and that's going to be Ronnie already handing out 70% of stalk progress to our Ghost Face. Serial is taking that very happily, trying to find the next survivor he can stalk for a little bit, and that's a gift by Socky. Sock my socks, that's such a good one. 90% onto the second survivor here as well. This is a dream start, farming off some stalk progress. Later on, you can hopefully turn these into striking very, very quickly. Boo just played Ghost Face themselves, is now going into the first chase and taking the injury here. Infinity with the start they needed.
And we could see it also very interestingly. I just noticed last game we didn't see any stalking from the Ghost Face. He chose to use his power instead to try to be really unpredictable, and it did work out very, very well. However, this Ghost Face is going to be able to get some stalking onto this survivor. We have Sox over there who is unknowingly stalked completely, 99%, and we are able to get this down here on Claudette onto this really safe pallet. Little bit of a traffic jam again. Ghost Face is really difficult to try to pinpoint his exact location, so these survivors are being a little bit caught out. The reset was happening by this safer generator, but it was in vain because we did go down eventually. We could see the Ghost Face with the speed he's kicking not generators, with the speed he is kicking pallets. We have brutal strength, making it so that these safe pallets are just getting munched through 20% faster, making it so we are not able to stall out. We're gonna go really, really aggressive. We also have the add-on on the left. I'm not sure what it's called, but it makes us faster whenever we get a stalk, catching stalks off guard. So we are able to get a 99 stalk down onto the survivor as well. It's gonna be really huge for this Ghost Face. A really good start.
And using the pop that is still remaining, then picking up and having another pop kick available. What a great move that is possible here still for our Ghost Face. And it's so interesting, right? We're looking on completely different Ghost Face strategies here. On the first one, using the power more as a tool of confusion, trying to test the coordination of a team, trying to throw them off guard, pulling something unexpected. And now in the rematch, we could say, we see Serial coming out with add-ons for the stalking, catching up a little bit quicker and being way more consequent on pushing survivors towards that 100% stalk and the one hit. So very interesting how differently the killers, or the same killer, can be played in the competitive environment here. We are rotating around, and once again it feels like Serial is kind of having downtime between the hook and the upcoming chase here. Pop Goes to Weasel is going to expire without being applied, trying to sneak around, but these survivors, oh hello my friend, that's going to be the deep wound for you. Maybe a little bit of a jump scare right there, but now being in a difficult spot here. I would imagine that Ronnie is coming in for taking a hit and also trying to force the M1 to get the stalk progress off. However, our survivor, I believe that was balance landing, taking a lot of distance here and making sure that the run is going on a little bit longer. We don't have a generator yet, but I do think that we will see a couple of objectives anytime soon.
With this Ghost Face, he loaded in with an incredibly aggressive build. We can see one perk that we normally see in every single killer game, Corrupted Invention, is absent from our build. Instead, opting to go for incredibly aggressive, brutal, Scourge Choke Pain Resonance, Sloppy Butcher, and Pop Goes the Weasel, tripling down on the slowdowns and trying to get as much progress gone as possible. We do have a lot of the regression perks already being applied. This is the start that this Ghost Face needs. He has to beat a 4K2, get a 4K3 maybe, or even just get all the health states of the survivors at a 4K2, because we did have that hatch escape last game. The survivors need to get 4 generators done, but this Ghost Face is not giving it away for free. We've got the resets happening. All survivors are beginning to get healthy again. Going through the Sloppy Butcher does take a lot of time, so we probably don't have too much generator progress to speak of. However, we do have Boo up on the hook, who is on Death Hook now, so that is a tunnel out that we could get at 5 generators. We just have so much pressure, but it's split between all these generators, and it keeps getting ticked. Pop Goes a Weasel and Pain Resonance. That feels so bad for the survivors, who were otherwise probably really confident coming into this game with the win con of just 4 generators against a M1 killer. We do have our first generator here too. That is almost done.
I was about to say, like, exactly, like 4 generators to be done against a weak killer. We mentioned it in the campfire chat. He is the lowest tier. So many perks are banned against him, and this was the first generator being completed. This is showing us how great Serial is playing here. He is applying so much pressure, making sure that the survivors are constantly busy with resetting, with unhooking, with taking care of each other. Ronnie can't rotate in anymore because he would be immediately stalked to 100. Sock My Socks is kind of moving in too early. I feel like that was planned differently. However, it does luckily end up in a 1-for-1, but obviously Serial needs the removal of the trial from Boo here. He needs to cut it down to 3 survivors with this win condition, so we can only hope that this chase is ending relatively soon, because now they're grinding the gens.
We can see that the pickup is happening onto Zaphis, who took that 1-for-1. Like you said, a little bit of a possible miscommunication here, taking a little bit of a tag too early, but eventually the Ghost Face does leave his tunnel out. He doesn't want to go for them anymore. They did make it to the other side of the map, which is notoriously known for having a couple of really, really safe pallets, but now we are chasing Zaphis, a very good 1v1 player. We'll have to see if he can buy enough time for his team to get this generator progress going. We just need gen progress from these survivors. We're down to 3 generators left, so we just need to get 2 done to win this matchup set. The Ghost Face knows it as well. He's not going to chase that survivor a little bit too long, because he does have a dastardly 3-gen up here. However, the survivors don't need to break the 3-gen. They can just do a different generator and meet their win con. A little bit of confusion. We do get a stock onto this Nancy. We're slightly faster because of our add-on. We're catching up. We're closing the distance. Will this Nancy be able to go down? She does make this window! Ooh, goes for the swing anyway, but doesn't get Pocos today. No, We are going to still continue to chase her, however, but there isn't much to work with. We do have this pallet, but she doesn't make it, and she does go down.
What a good and needed down here for the Ghost Face, but the real target was Zafis being removed from the, was Boo being removed from the trial, and that really did not work out as planned here. So there's still a lot of work to do. Ronnie can hang on the hook for 2 minutes here, so that will be a great window of time for the survivors to get 2 more generators done. That would be all we need, but we have seen sometimes things are sounding way easier than they actually are, because Cyril still playing a very, very strong and confident Ghost Face game here, keeping Boo later on the 99, and might even go for the chase now, because he just needs to wait for the power recovery, can put Boo into the exposed status and then go for the M1 here, and that's exactly what Cyril is planning to do here, trying to mind game a little bit while waiting for the power recovery, and the power is back right now. This is not the safest palette here in the main room, especially when we are playing Europe against America with a little bit of ping difference, so therefore it's going to be enough. Who is going down, and that's the elimination we were looking for.
That is exactly what the Ghost Face needed. However, we have another survivor who is hiding around here, able to get the pallets done and delay the death onto the Claudette for just a couple more seconds. That's what they need, except Ghost Face, he's a little sneaky guy. He is able to hide his red stain and Terradius, meaning that he was able to surprise the survivor around the corner. That will be Claudette removed from this trial. Now we are down to the 3v1 with 2 survivors already injured. We saw them run down to the other side of the map for a possible reset, because what the survivors need right now, they need to get 1 more generator done to take this set. The game is not over just yet. However, the Ghost Face is sitting in a really good spot, because all of these generators are tightly packed at the top side of the map, where we have been for most of the trial. So all of these filler pallets that we're using to protect ourselves are gone. We have barely any loot potential, and we do see the spikes from the entity popping up on that generator as well, meaning it has been damaged quite a few times. I was casting a couple games yesterday. We did see that come into play. Kicking gens now costs 1 of those 8 regression events, meaning you can't just damage a generator over and over. So the hit and run style could do really good against this team. However, it will eventually end with that generator getting blocked if it hits that 8 mark.
The big thing for me is I was reading the developer update from Behavior, how they said in most cases this new mechanic will not come into effect, and I was immediately thinking, well, for us it will. In DBDL it will matter a lot, because this back and forth is really, really big, as we can see it here. It's one of the most important tools for the killers to keep a survivor team that is really experienced under control. Ladies and gentlemen, are we going to see this additional generator for Team Tremor, or is it going to be Infinity cutting it down here? Remember, we had a hatch escape, so 10 stages only for the killer here. So Tremor, in case they don't get another generator done, would need to pull a last second hatch escape with at least 2 stages to put it into the tiebreaker of the tiebreaker, basically. So a lot of events would need to happen here. Therefore, we can only hope that Tremor is going for the very, very clean final generator, but it's not going to happen just yet. Zafis is going back onto the hook here. That is going to be hook stage number 7 coming through for our killer. Serial here playing also so cool and so with nerves of steel, I would say, that it's just really impressive how amazing you can perform. As a weak killer, as an M1, if you found your dynamic, if you are able to keep the survivors busy, you can make miracles happen.
These killers showing off their skills as M1 regular killers, like you said, low tier. It's really exciting to see the back and forth from the survivors and the killer. The survivors are going to have to try to make something happen, because, we're caught out in a really bad position. That means we're going to go down. It is going to be really difficult for these survivors to recover from a position such as this because we do have, like, pop goes a weasel right on that generator. The Ghost Face bringing in this really aggressive build is really paying off. And we're getting our downs really close to topside as well, meaning the survivors don't really have a chance to get off some really quick resets and drag the Ghost Face away from this side of the map. He's just getting these regression events after regression events that he's just stacking on, and Sox is also dead. We're leading into the 2v1 that is going to be really difficult to try to get another generator done. We have some resets happening over here at the grave of this safe pallet. We don't know if the Ghost Face is nearby. He's stalking a little bit, possibly trying to find out the reset spot because he did see that Nancy was healed. However, he doesn't really need to leave this Forgin at this top side because this is his condition. This is what he's waiting for. He doesn't have to do anything. He's waiting on the move of the survivors.
Yeah, this is such a difficult spot. The good news is both of these survivors are only hooked once so far, right? So if one of them is getting eliminated and the other one pulls the hatch escape like Infinity did, we are going into the tiebreaker of the tiebreaker. So then we can reset it, we can replay on Larry's Memorial Institute, we can have a new Ghost Face set, everything is back to having a chance here. Or getting another generator. That are the two options that we have right now. Ronnie is injured already. Serial is rotating to make sure that the generators are under control, is going to catch Zafis here. So I do believe we'll just follow Feng, trying to mind game a little bit, making it look like he would cut her off, but she's not falling for that. Zafis moving into this room with the remaining filler pallet, trying to mind game, but it's going to be a very confident swing by the Ghost Face, ending the chase relatively quickly. And now Ronnie has the entire responsibility, was coming earlier in set 1 as the team member who's taking a hit and throwing himself in to prolong the chases of the team members here. And now he is in a very important... Oh, I was thinking for a second that the internet of the killer cuts out. This were my heart would stop. Ronnie picking a locker as well here. The guessing game is about to start. Zafis has 3 minutes bleed out time, so that's quite a... No way.
Picks her out of the locker. Nancy is not as quiet as Ada. That way we can actually find the survivor and get them up on the hook, meaning that they are not going to be able to get through the hatch. You know, unless the hatch spawns right underneath Zafis' slugged body, that will mean that this set point is going to go to Infinity.
That is incredibly well done by Infinity, starting off so confident, then losing it very, very clearly on the Nurse, but recovering back after some outs on the Nurse game, finding back the momentum, going into the tiebreak and White and spread shoulders and making clear we are going to stay in the tournament. But just by how close this game was and how close it ended here on Larry's is showing us how great the teams are that are playing in the Winter Circuit. Tremor basically lost to the RNG hatch escape by Infinity. Otherwise, we would need a tiebreaker right now. What an unfortunate chain of events for them. What a fortunate chain of events for Infinity. Congratulations, Infinity, for taking this best of 3 and staying in the tournament.